Hey everybody, Grant Clayton 1% here. This is going to be another interesting solo real estate closing arguments conversation. If you like thought provoking content, it's kind of real estate rebel stuff, and you're watching this on YouTube, take a minute to like and subscribe. We'd appreciate it. Everybody refers to us as a discount real estate brokerage, which got me thinking because people have said to us, maybe you're not a discounter. Maybe you're not really undercutting the market. Maybe the entire market itself is just drastically overpriced. And you're the only one that's reasonable, which makes everybody think you're discounting. So the concept of discounting itself is interesting because effectively what you're doing is you're charging less than everybody else for something. It could be anything. It could be whatever you want, and you're charging less to acquire more customers. Now we charge less to get more listings because those listings generate buyers and other activity, which is great for business. That makes us discounters according to everybody in the industry, but we were not the first one to do this. Arguably the first discount broker was Remax. In 1973, they came out with a maximum commission model. Effectively, what they did is they discounted their splits and caps versus the norm. Now, the norm then was 50-50, which means the average agent was paying their broker 50% of their check. But with Remax, you got to keep 100%, and it was great for bigger producers because basically they had to help cover fees and pay other fees, which is how Remax made money. But by them discounting their splits and their caps, they became one of the biggest real estate brokerages in the world, and more power to them. It was genius. It was a great business model. But they used a discounting mindset to recruit agents away from their current offer, their current brokerage. They basically offered them a better deal. The only thing that I would pick at with that is us charging less money from the public to get listings makes us awful discount brokers, but charging lower splits and caps to get more agents, which is how most of the brokerages today are growing. That's how Remax became the behemoth that it was. That does not make you a discount broker. That makes you, I don't know, something to be admired, I guess. But yeah, virtually every big brokerage that's growing nowadays, they are recruiting agents by offering amazing splits and caps, and many of them actually have a commission savings calculator on their website for real estate agents. And we have a commission savings calculator on our website for the public. I mean, it's the same thing. We're doing the same things. It's just a different target audience. Now, to understand the point of this post, you need to understand that real estate agents are paid based on the final sales price of a home, which means the more expensive the house, the bigger the check the real estate agent gets. So the question is, are we discounters? Are we cheap? Should we do a better job of knowing our worth? Or are we really the norm and everybody else is just overpriced? So I decided to pull some data, and what I wanted to know was pretty simple. In a certain amount of time, how much has the American dollar inflated? And how does that correlate to the price of the average home? And then when you factor in real estate splits and how good they have gotten for real estate agents, how does that affect that math equation, so to speak? Now, the reason I want to see this is because what a dollar is worth from 1970 today and what a house is worth in that same time frame, as well as how much from that transaction that a real estate agent gets to keep, will tell us a lot. So I chose 1970 because that was 3 years before Remax hit the scene. And so all the agents were paying 50-50 back then. And Remax came out in 1973 and really disrupted the market. And I mean, it was genius what they did. And so if you think this is me hating on Remax, it's not. It was a pretty amazing thing that they did. And they're still a great company to this day. But they completely changed how people had to pay splits, how agents paid splits. So the average home in 1970 was $26,300. And if you slide that over today, that $26,300 is worth $212,000 today. So $26,300 in 1970 is worth $212,000 today. That's how much the dollar has inflated. And with the average house then being $26,300, the average home today is $420,000. That means that housing has outpaced the dollar by 2 to 1. So if you're going to pay cash for a house, the average home in 1970, paying cash for the average house would be $26,300. Paying cash for the average home today would be about $420,000. Houses are right at twice as expensive if you just tracked it compared to inflation. But that also means that a real estate agent's commission check, assuming they charge the same number, the average real estate agent's commission check before broker splits is double today versus 1970, assuming everybody charged the same fees. But back then, agents didn't have the internet. They didn't have electronic lockboxes. They had a lot more work to do. Everything was handwritten. There's no cloud-based signature. There's none of these modern technological marvels, which makes this job way easier to scale and do. But it's still doubled compared to the actual price of inflation. So what about broker splits? So the average broker split in 1970 was 50-50. Okay. So with the average broker taking 50% of an agent's check in 1970, now you have brokers that are 85%, 90%. Sometimes you can keep 100% of your check as long as you pay monthly fees, a desk fee, an office fee, whatever else. There's also these transaction fee brokerages that charge agents $200, $300. I mean, it's pretty cheap. Like, it's a pretty great deal. As all this technology has made it easier to run a brokerage, it's the deal has gotten a lot better for agents. So housing prices have doubled compared to inflation, which means so has commission checks. And splits have gone from 50-50 to way, way better. The job has become way more efficient due to technology. And then we've got the antitrust lawsuits where everybody was sued for commissions remaining incredibly high, which means commissions have probably gone down, right? No. Since the lawsuits have been settled, the average commission has gone up from 5.32 to 5.44. So since the lawsuits over commission, the consumer is paying more. So let's take a look at the actual results of selling the average price home with an agent charging you 3% and paying their broker a 50% split in 1970. And this is crazy. Okay. In 1970, if you charged 3% to sell the average priced home and you gave your broker 50% of that, you took home $400. So the average take home for selling the average house with the average broker split, an agent, assuming they charged 3%, was $400. Now that $400 then is actually worth $3,348 today. So it's quite a bit more money, obviously. So once again, just think about this. Average home, average commission split was 50-50, charging 3%, an agent nets $400, which equates to $3,348. Now then, the average agent at 1% lists after splits, which is for us is about 20% before they cap, roughly, selling the average $420,000 house today, we make $3,360. So my average agent selling the average home with our splits is taking home, inflation adjusted to 1970, the exact same amount within $12 of a typical real estate agent from 1970. We make an extra $12. It's almost spot on. I was actually shocked when I ran all this through Gemini AI. That's where I pulled all the data, and I was shocked to see that we are $12 difference. The average real estate agent charging 3% today on an 85-15 split, which is not hard to find. There's plenty of brokerages offering better than that. But assuming they're paying their broker 15%, they are taking home $10,710. For those of you doing the math at home, that means that agents today charging 3% on an 85-15 split, inflation adjusted with housing doubling inflation as far as costs, that agent is making over 300% more. The average agent is making over 300% more today than the average agent from 1970. That's wild. Which brings me to the original question. Are companies like us, like 1% lists, are we charging less? Are we cutting ourselves short? Are we discounting ourselves? Should we know our worth better? Or are we simply reasonable? Everyday real estate agents respond to ads that we run to sell franchises across the country, saying all sorts of negative things. One of the most recent notable ones was saying we are ruining the industry for all the other agents. Now, the crazy part of all this is despite the fact that the average agent is making 300% more per deal than an agent just 55 years ago, inflation and split adjusted, my average agent is making more money than they are because we're actually doing deals. But because the average agent is taking home 300% more, that's why we have so many agents. I mean, it's wild. I mean, here in my state, it's 5 years to become a plumber or an electrician. It's 1,500 hours of class time to get licensed to cut hair, but it's only 90 hours to become a real estate agent, and you can do it from your home. It only costs about $300. And so why do we have so many agents? And what does that lead to? Well, every day, more and more agents are licensed, which makes it harder to find a deal because there are only so many deals to go around with a dramatic oversupply of real estate agents. And there's a dramatic oversupply because they're getting paid 300% more than they used to. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day up in the Big Apple, and he was telling me there are 50,000 agents to do 10,000 deals. Now, I'm trusting him on those numbers. It might be off, but it's probably not far off. 50,000 agents in the city, in New York City, to do 10,000 transactions. And yet, all of these agents keep their licenses. I looked it up the other day. Over 70% of agents didn't do a deal last year, and the numbers are even worse this year, from what I understand. So why do they continue to get licensed? Because the windfall from just one deal is so tremendous that it pays their license for years. But the problem with that is when you don't get to do your job very often, and 70% of agents, over 70%, didn't do a deal last year, the numbers are going to be worse this year. When you don't get to do your job very often, guess what? You're not very good at doing your job, which explains why so many people have had a bad experience with a real estate agent. They don't know how to do deals. They don't know how to do contracts. They don't know how to run comps. There's so many things that they don't do. They don't do it regularly, so they don't get good at it. It's not their fault. There's simply far too many agents around to do not enough deals. I mean, it's crazy. But this is what helps Zillow, because when you got way too many agents with not enough deals, guess what happens to the cost of a lead? The cost of that lead goes through the roof because you have so many buyers for the same amount of leads. It's crazy. But I mean, unless you're an agent like one of ours doing a lot of deals because they actually have a more affordable professional value proposition for the public, I mean, you don't get good at doing your job unless you're an agent that is one of the small handful of agents that just has an amazing system and they got a great sphere and they really work at it to generate business. Or what a lot of agents turn to is they're just going to pay a huge fee and a huge referral to be given leads. Those huge fees that those agents are paying to get leads are then passed down to the consumer unknowingly. And those fees are further inflating commissions. And there's finally a lawsuit dealing with that. Just Google search Zillow lawsuit, and you'll see that when people are clicking speak to an agent, a lot of times they're paying a 40% referral to Zillow for that agent to get that lead. And that agent is expected to charge a huge fee and push that person to Zillow Home Loans. And that's why that lawsuit's going on. Feel free to Google it. But honestly, considering agents are making 300% more than they used to, maybe paying Zillow 40% of your money doesn't sound crazy. I can tell you, I wouldn't do business that way. I just wouldn't. I had that choice a long time ago, and I simply believe that if I did a good job and saved people money, that the people would come to me and I didn't have to pay Zillow. And that's why we are where we are. But either way, the irony of all this, our average agent is making a lot more money than the typical agent because they simply do a higher volume of deals. Over 70%, once again, of agents didn't do a deal last year. Our average agent, depending on the market, did about 12. 12 is a lot better than 0. Even if you are charging 1% for sellers, 12 is a lot more than 0. Our top producers do well over 100 without paying for leads and without running a team. And so for all of you who need to look at it, and so many agents get stuck in this mindset of they look at things through the industry prism, but they don't look at all the other companies they do business with. I mean, a lot of people belittle us and say you're the Walmart of real estate, but Walmart's worth $800 billion. Saks Fifth Avenue is rumored to be filing for bankruptcy. And so if you're modeling your business around Saks Fifth Avenue and thumbing your nose at me and saying I'm Walmart, then fine, I'll accept that. Amazon's worth $2.3 trillion because they provide real value in a time where, quite frankly, the country needs it. People can't afford homes. People can't afford hardly anything. Selling your home doesn't have to be this unaffordable. Homes are already too expensive without agents making 300% more than they used to. So if you're somebody looking to sell a house and you watch this, understand that there are high quality, experienced, affordable professionals just like us at 1% lists around the country. We just opened office number 67. We'll be at probably 71 or 72 before the end of the year. And I'm hoping to double that next year. So we'll be in a lot of markets soon, but we have a lot of people that reach out to us saying, would you please come list my house? And unfortunately, we're not in that market yet. So it is what it is. I just try to find somebody doing what we do there or try to help them out in some way. If you're watching this in a real estate agent, understand I'm not against you. I don't hate you. I'm not painting you as this evil entity. What I'm saying is there's a better way. You don't have to pay Zillow. You don't have to worry where your next check is coming from. You can be busier and more productive with a more reliable income and actually feel good about what you do. Feel like you're providing real value. And you can make more money doing it that way. There's a different way to do your business. You don't have to choose between paying for leads, cold calling, door knocking, wondering where your next check is coming from. You can actually choose to provide a better deal, a more affordable full service to your clients and make more money in the long run because you'll have so many listings. Your clients will love you for it. You'll get a ton of referrals. Most importantly, you'll be helping people out, which frankly is needed. Now, after seeing the math, maybe you'll understand why there is such an affordability problem with housing, and it's causing so many ripple effects through the country. People not starting families, people can't get established. People, the average price or the average homeowner, first-time homeowner, is 38 years old. It's kind of old to be having your first kid and getting married and settling down. We as an industry can be a part of the solution to that. As of right now, it's pretty easy when you look at the data to make the case that we are definitely a part of the problem. But it doesn't have to be that way. Happy holidays, everybody.